What are retention policies? Microsoft 365 retention policies allows companies to enforce the retention of their data held within Microsoft 365, matching their information security policies. Why do we care about retention policies? When an e-discovery need arises is not the ideal time to discuss these concepts. Planning is ideal. E-discovery can be used to simply find an email that we know someone received, but we don't know where it is or who has it. We've had that issue several times before, and the e-discovery search is the best way to find the missing email. For clarification, our retention policy is different than a data loss policy. A data loss policy checks for sensitive data and restricts access, sharing, or sends to a compliance manager for approval. One important concept of a retention policy is that these policies apply even to deleted accounts. When a retention policy is in place and an email or an employee leaves the organization, we can feel free to delete the user accounts, knowing that we always have access to find the old email in the user account because we have an enforced retention policy. Before we go any further, we should invite you to watch our other videos that cover important questions you might be asking when hiring a managed IT provider. Check out our YouTube channel, like and subscribe for more videos, and visit runnetworkrun.com and click Start a Conversation. What are some options for retention policies? Retention policies can be applied to mailboxes and SharePoint sites together, or different policies can be applied as needed. There are two main methods of compliance with retention policies. The policy can enforce retention of data, or the policy can enforce purging of data. Both provide consistency across all users, all data, including email and SharePoint, and eliminates the possibility of one user keeping all email for 15 years while another user deletes email immediately. The policy begins immediately by either purging old data or retaining old data when it is applied. First, retaining data. The first option in a retention policy is to retain items. There are options to retain items for a specific period of time or retain forever. The first decision when designing a retention policy is to decide how long you want to enforce retaining data. A common theme for policy guidelines is that companies should keep data only as long as they are required to do so. This varies by data type from 2 to 10 plus or more years for some specific types of data. Some companies with no specific requirements follow the 7-year rule. And second, deleting data. The second main option of a retention policy is to force delete the data. Cleaning up old data, especially email, enforces deletion of very old email that does not apply to anything current. Deleting old data also reduces the chances for data that does not apply to an e-discovery being listed in the results. For example, a project from 10 years ago with a similar name that shows up in an e-discovery search in response to a subpoena can at the very least create more work to clean up or create an issue due to the potentially sharing confidential data to a third party. Related to retention policies, there are some users that simply have very large mailboxes. Microsoft 365 has mailbox size limits of either 50 gigabytes or 100 gigabytes depending on the license. When a user reaches this limit, we should ask if the email in their inbox deserves to be retained or deleted and how our retention policy would apply. If the email should be retained and the mailbox is still over 50 gigabytes, we should consider an online archive. All business tiers of Microsoft 365 have a mailbox size limit of 50 gigabytes. Enterprise tiers of E3 and E5 include a mailbox size of 100 gigabytes. Archive mailboxes of 50 gigabytes are included for Microsoft 365 Business Basic, M365 Business Standard, and Office 365 E1, while 1.5 terabytes is included for Microsoft Business Premium, Office 365 E3, and Office 365 E5. The archive mailboxes are an option to reduce the mailbox size when a retention policy does not apply or when the user has a mailbox that needs to be reduced. For more questions, feel free to check our other videos or visit runnetworkrun.com and click Start a Conversation.